The Future China Global Forum is brought to you by Business China Singapore. Held in Singapore on 20th and 21st July, the Future China Global Forum featured more than 50 speakers sharing their insights across 16 plenary and panel discussion sessions. China's economy, after more than 20 years of stellar growth, is having to contend with a single-digit report card. Meanwhile, domestic issues such as income disparity, oversupply in the manufacturing sector, and an aging population, as well as territorial disputes, emerging world order, and other international issues continue to pose challenges for China. What do all these mean? Where are the opportunities? Future China Global Forum 2015, the definitive platform for knowing China.
我想讲就是一个 rethink about the economic theory， 就是我们采取了这么多的措施，印了这么多的钱。 似乎仍然没有回到这个7年以前，那究竟为什么？实际上呢，我认为有可能呢，我们需要 seriously rethink about the action we take, even the most fundamental economic theory. Is it can you bring you out of the crisis by easing or by printing with money, or we have to go back to the very fundamental economic theory by the market process, market mechanism in determining how the economy should develop. 我认为呢，就是说这个市场的机制恐怕还是非常重要。那么各种政府型的干预，这个如此之大的程度也是实所未见。 那么这个是不是究竟是不是对，可能是值得辩论的。
I want to hear your opinion about China's debt problem.
In my own opinion, the debt is really too high, and the problem is even more. I think is how the loans are decided. That's why I'm mentioning. You know, you have to really let the market think. If it's some guy or some official think this is a good investment, it's not necessarily will be a good investment. You really have to subject to more scrutiny, systematic scrutiny about this value of this potential project, and therefore the risk of this loan. So I think yes, this is a problem. But I think to attack this problem, you need really to have a more systematic reform.
Even if Chinese growth comes down to 5%, we are talking about an economy that adds $500 billion of output to the global economy. Now, that's an amazing number. Now, even if China slows, its profile on the global map will continue to rise. Now, this involves a period of adjustment, not only for China as it shoulders more of the global responsibility, but for other nations to get used to the idea of a rising China that will vigorously pursue its national interests, whether in the military fields, in the economy, or foreign policy.
In end of May, on May 15th, the EBRD, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, came out with their annual statement saying they would like to join partnership with AIB in co-financing. Ravi, you mentioned Japan came out with a $100 billion commitment to support infrastructure. Now that, to me, is tantamount to an acknowledgement that the One Belt, One Road is needed. Mm-hmm. So, in effect, it's supporting that very concept that they object to.
Is it possible for China and the United States to avoid war? I'm an optimist. I believe that at least under the leadership of President Barack Obama and President Xi Jinping, the two countries will live at peace with each other. I think at a very important summit meeting in Sunnylands, California, the two leaders agreed that they will cooperate where their interests converge. They will compete where their interests diverge. But where they have differences, the two countries will manage those differences in a balanced and mature way.
So in the past 30 years, China has established a rather comprehensive legal system with rules to follow in many areas of people's social life, and which brings certainty. And many laws have been made to protect not only economic freedom, but also individual rights. So there are a lot of contradictions. There are a lot of the mixed messages in the rule of law development in China.
But if you were talking about the Chinese system, normally we would call that rule by law, because the goal of the party is to use laws in order to have an efficient administration of the country. But it's the party that's ruling, and it's ruling by using laws. So in the West, we would tend to use the terms somewhat different. And so if we're talking about the Chinese system, we would call it rule by law rather than rule of law. Of course, if you say it's rule of law with Chinese characteristics, then maybe that means the same thing. From the point of view of a foreign company, normally we don't think that our actions have that much to do with political stability. We don't normally get involved in domestic political activities. But there still are examples when this might affect us. For example, I remember in 2008 or 2009, after the financial crisis hit, the Supreme People's Court issued a circular that said, when judges decide about enforcing intellectual property rights, they should consider the impact on employment and social stability in their area. So there is a party priority that's overturning the rights that people normally have for intellectual property.
Let me give you two specific examples that companies recently came to me with. So these are two issues that happened in the last 2 weeks, and they're actually quite small, but I think they give you a very good sense of, from a business perspective, when we talk about rule of law. The first is a company that provides cafeteria services. So basically, this is a company that would operate the cafeteria in a local high school or a university or a hospital or any other public or even private business. A year and a half ago, there was a food safety inspection at one of the facilities that they provide service in. And there was a single issue with a salad dressing was 1 month past the expiration date. The officials came in, they found the problem, and they told the company that they would come back to the company with a fine. That was a year and a half ago. Over the past year and a half, the enforcement officials have come backwards and forwards, and they've asked for different kinds of information. Last week, the company was called into the local government's offices, and they were given a fine of $1.5 million. But the fine wasn't about the expired salad dressing. The fine was about apparently, and it's questionable under the law, but the fine was essentially, the company was told, you need to have a license to operate in this premises. You don't have a license, therefore you need to get a $1.5 million fine. But the fact of the matter is, it's industry practice, not only in Beijing, but in Shanghai and every single city across China, that the person who owns the property, the landlord, or the company that hires the service provider, is the one who owns the food safety license for that facility. So my point is, 1.5 years, it starts with a container of salad dressing, and all of a sudden the local enforcement agency is adopting a brand new retroactive judgment that's plans to cost this company $1.5 million. A second example, also within the last 2 weeks, was a company came to me asking for our help in a province in southern China. And what they found, so in this particular location, they manufacture equipment for the global market. And it's really cutting edge equipment. And what they found was the general manager of the factory had been stealing all the designs for their latest products for the global market. So they went to the local police and they tried to have this gentleman arrested. The local police refused to arrest him. They said, we don't see how that's important. Underneath the law, you have to prove that these are critical designs. You haven't proven these are critical designs, go away. So these are the kind of challenges that really affect business by business by business, and these are the kinds of things that we'd obviously like to see resolved moving forward.
Future China Global Forum is organized by Business China Singapore in partnership with our sponsors and partners.